Good afternoon. Thank you for attending our micro-webinar today, the last in our series. This micro-webinar is on hyper-targeting and dynamic content. Our goal for today is to give you some ideas for hyper-targeting and dynamic content that you can start applying to your campaigns and marketing efforts today. As I mentioned, this is the final of our micro-webinar series. The others in our series focused on how to use behavior-triggered emails, ideas for lead nurturing tactics, and tips for amplifying your B2B social media influence. You can visit the Technology Advisors YouTube channel to view these webinars and other great CRM and marketing automation videos, but I will also include links to them in the follow-up email to this webinar. So I'd like to begin with some quick introductions. My name is Janine. I'm the Marketing Manager at Technology Advisors, Inc. For those of you who don't know us, we are a business software consulting company. What that means is we basically just help businesses select and implement products like CRM, marketing automation, CPQ, and BI tools. Most of those are then specific to CRM. And then for CRM, we offer training, support, and software customization. So we're kind of your catch-all consulting software company. With us today is Channel Account Manager at Acton, Brenda Ronson, who has lent her expertise for this micro-webinar series. If you haven't seen all of the ones in the series, I encourage you to check them out. Brenda has done a wonderful job and given us a lot to think about and a lot to take action on. One quick housekeeping item before we begin. I will be recording this and sending this recording as well as the previous micro-webinar links to you for your convenience. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to type them into that questions box on the little area on the right-hand side of the screen, and we will do our best to get those answered for you. So with that, I'd like to give the floor to Brenda to kick it off.
Thanks so much, Janine. So yeah, my title is Channel Account Manager, but I definitely talk to some great marketers and successful strategists in business today with our customers and our partners. And I just love my role. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking today about hyper-targeting and dynamic content. And it's going to be a fun and hopefully informative session for everyone. I did want to reiterate what Janine was saying. We had two previous micro-webinars that covered some great lead nurturing tactics and techniques, and we'd love for you to take a review on that as well. So hyper-targeting, what is it, and how do we do it? And it's really a look at a term, right? It's interest-based segmentation. That sounds a little bit complicated, but it's really where individuals are clustered and segmented into naturally occurring kind of unbiased clusters. They're looking at who and what we want to choose to follow. And we're following the patterns and the interest data instead of relying, strictly on social listening to where their interest is. And social listening, seeing a comment on Twitter or Facebook really doesn't give you the entire profile of that person. Maybe they're a marketer and they share a lot of marketing articles, but it's not giving you the complete picture of that person's roles or the business pain that they're experiencing or what they're looking for. And they might not, vocalize, especially if they're experiencing business pain, on one of those social feeds, right? So we actually need to get closer to understanding their interests and their needs as we move through the buyer's journey during our time with a prospect. So there's a couple ways that we recommend that you look at hyper-targeting. How to identify what the real interest of your buyer is. And some of that is spelled out here very clearly in the bullets. Certainly landing page segmentation, a new welcome email segmentation. It's really personalizing that touch to uncover more and more. Most buyers will exchange more information in a balance to privacy if they feel that there's value that they're receiving. So it's just a constant check-in on what's important to them. The other way we can look at this too is if it's an existing customer or client of your organization, then we can look at what they've purchased from us in the past and identify their future interests based on what they've historically needed from your organization. And there's, a slight difference in the way that we would approach that, right, in terms of what the click is telling us. I notice in this side-by-side comparison, it's really talking about a landing page that says, hey, I want to buy your donuts, or I want to make my own, because one is really connecting to the donut makers, a shop where you could go buy it, and the other is, hey, I need the ingredients because I'm going to make my own. So of course you're going to have a different communication and a different marketing message to those two interest groups. And it really increases conversion because if you've personalized and provide what they were looking for, it builds that trust and credibility around your brand that we're all seeking. If you look at an example from one of my restaurants I love to eat at, from Payway, they're really asking for that information so that they can deliver what a customer Payway wants. This is an example in, of course, business to consumer, but this is also heavily utilized in business to business. For example, if you're a medical supply company and you're sending emails to hospital buyers, you could ask them if they want to receive news about reward programs or discounted supplies, product recalls, a lot of regulation in the medical industry. So that is really how to identify in a B2B world where their interest lies. I know one approach that Technology Advisors has taken is to really look at the idea of a survey, because if we get a sense what their buyers and their customers want to see, you really get a lot more activity. This is an example that we have. I don't have an online business yet. I have an online business, but I'm stuck. Or I am an online business, but I'm already successful and I need to refine what I'm buying from you. So the survey approach is very effective. Deneen, can you just share a little bit about what Technology Advisors has done in the world of survey?
Sure. We hold a annual CRM conference every year, and I've been on board for 2 years, and the first one was the first year I was here. So this will be our 3rd year doing it this year. But what we've been doing is after that event, we ask them, what was interesting to you? What do you like to learn about? What trends are you seeing in your industry right now? And that's one example. And then in another sense, just in general, when we're looking at promotional emails, if we're seeing that some emails maybe are getting better open rates than others that have to do with certain content, we might ask, can you let us know, here's the topics that we've been talking about, and can you indicate for us, do you want to know more information about these things? If they do, then we know, all right, they're qualifying themselves. And I think that's part of what the beauty is with some of these techniques for hyper-targeting is you can give them the power to do that themselves. And then they are effectively telling you what they want to hear, and that's giving you a basis for being able to create more content, gather more information for them, and then really have that open rate in your email and the engagement that you're trying to see, because already it's something that's interesting to them. They've told you that.
Deneen, that's fantastic. I love your example of the user group. Of course, I've been to your user group, and I think that feedback, like even for the people who just registered and were pulled away and maybe couldn't attend, it helps you build a future event that is even more valuable to your
Exactly.
customers. And the kind of self-qualifying, I think that's important as well, because we know today that most buyers are about 70% through their selection before they ever contact you. They're looking at peers, they're looking at social, they're looking at your website, they're seeking their own information before sales ever touches them. So the more we can gather in their inquiry phase and have them kind of self-qualify, like, I don't want to hear about this, this is really my specific need, I think that's valuable for a company that's looking to grow their top line revenue.
Agreed.
So if we look at this example too from the retailer LL Bean, I think this is a very common example, right? Really, I love LL Bean. I've ordered from them. I typically order a lot of school clothes from them. And so what I want to tell LL Bean is, please don't send me a daily email because I get a lot of email. What I want to say is I want to see special offers, especially around the time that I might be buying my kids' school clothes. So a good time to be, hitting me up and maybe on a weekly basis would be in that seasonality of my need. And then there's always this kind of concept of, Amazon, where they are making suggestions on what they believe that you like based on what you've already bought. So this is not really me or Janine, I don't think, with True Detective, but if
Oh
this
no,
were
that
done,
show's awesome. You should watch it. It's amazing.
maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I do need it. But I do love that Amazon makes a lot of suggestions. So, it's good because I can choose to ignore, but when it's something that is really in my interest area, I am going to click. It just really brings out that past history as a future predictor of what I'm going to buy. And typically, this type of approach yields very high response because, again, it's tailored to their needs. And this could be duplicated for a business-to-business type of transaction, right? I think we all think of these great examples in consumer, but technology advisors might send information to a customer about CRM and marketing automation, because the two programs work in tandem. So the add-on of additional product is because we know that those two solutions are tightly integrated. And it's very relevant because if they already have CRM, they might be in the market for marketing automation from Act-On. So that's a really powerful approach. The other way that we can think about this too is just really refreshing the dynamic content so that it's geared toward the interest level as well. So the landing page on the left is one that Act-On featured, and the real beauty here is you don't have to have a million list segments. You can do it all within a single email. So one interest area on the left geared towards marketers can be a what-if statement. And the second is if it's a salesperson that's looking, they're interested in increasing their lead generation with marketing automation. And so instead of creating two different lists with marketers and salespeople, we can send one communication with two separate email examples. So what does that look like if we drill into it? So all in a single email, you'd send a different content or text block based on specific criteria. So if it was Chicago, the location of the prospect would be critical about those Cubbies. Isn't this exciting? Or whatever we need to gauge their interest. We could do that on title, right? So a CFO, a Chief Financial Officer, is obviously not as interested in topics around that a CMO would be interested in. And so we can really take the content and refine it for the things that we know that they care about. This is particularly true in industry where like healthcare has a lot of regulations and compliance, a lot of rules that need to be observed. And so, speaking to that directly really feels like the message and the content is personalized, and it's coming from somebody that knows the pains that I might be having in my particular industry. And this is just a clip of how we do this within Acton. So we really feel like if the content block can be directed toward a location or a title, we're going to see much higher conversion rates and stronger engagement with our prospects. So this is all going to lead to increased sales because they are actually getting the information that they're seeking, and we're going towards that direction. So it's a powerful drag and drop interface, and it allows you to choose these real quick combination of options, right? And that can be text blocks that we were just talking about, could be images, could be a call to action that's slightly different, could be a checkbox, just the list goes on. And this is very, very valuable. So it saves a marketer a lot of time. And so we really appreciate that you've spent time with us today to kind of look at these two different ideas around increasing your engagement, personalizing it, being very effective with hyper-targeting, and the type of content you're sending. I think, Deneen, we have time to take a few questions from the audience, and certainly happy to address those.
Thanks, Brenda. We do have one question here. They're asking if it's possible to go too far with hyper-targeting.
I think that's a great question.
How do you know, like, what's your cutoff, I guess?
Yeah, so, sometimes too much of a good thing is a bad thing. But there was a recent article that I really like that I think you shared with me, Deneen, from Ad Clarity. The idea is we're not going to pigeonhole your brands. I think there's some steps that you can take to make hyper-targeting very beneficial and not too much of a good thing. So for example, we always stress that you understand your perfect ideal customer, and not only understand your buyer personas, but who are their friends and family and influencers on their choices, right? And then just consider just kind of excluding those people that will never buy your product, because then your content is falling on deaf ears. If you sell baby carriages, you might want to exclude couples over 55. Sure, there's some occasional grandparents that would be in the market, but you really want to, and they're going to find it, right, using keywords. But we really want to target the demographic of someone who is, anticipating that their children, or they have children under 5, or, a demographic that would be buying a gift, a baby shower gift as a target. So be very, very clear about those steps, and then hyper-targeting should work for you very well.
Excellent, and I definitely agree with that approach. I hope that answered our viewer's question. If you have any more questions, if you need help with things, if you're looking at, integrating marketing automation to be able to produce some of these things, or if you just want to know a little bit more detail about what we talked about today, there's Brenda and myself again, and our contact information, and we hope that you will feel comfortable reaching out to us with any help that you may need. And we were very happy to be able to do this presentation for you today, and we'll look forward to our next micro webinar series.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.